Okay, today is going to be an upper body session, an upper body pull session, and then rehab. This is only actually the second session this week. My legs are super sore, to the point of where literally trying to walk from the house to in here was just not doable. So that's something I'm going to have to factor in for planning, because my intention still is, next week I'm going to start training back at the gym a couple of times a week, so I can use a ski erg. So I need to bear in mind that my legs are going to be a limiting factor sometimes. Anyway, today I'm going to do some pull-ups. So I'm just going to do a few reps of this to warm up. Today, my legs are much better than they've been the last couple of days. So that's good at least. That's progress. But so it was Wednesday the last time I trained, and today is Saturday. So it's been Thursday, Friday, 2 days off. I suppose that's not too bad. I've still been doing some rehab, but not loading as such. So the last few days it's basically just been stretching, which is fine. When I say it's been uncomfortable, I mean like the actual weight going through my legs. So my feet and ankles have been a big limiting factor. So that's kind of been, that's where I'm at with that. So unfit, even moving this stuff. So what I'm going to do is have today, tomorrow, this week is going to be like my baseline level, because as of next week I can start going back to the gym. I'm going to actually write a program, because I benched up to 70 and I said 80 was enough where it counts. Like obviously it still counts, but there's enough that there's enough load that I should be getting something out of it. I'm past the point of recovery where things are basically binding back together. So I'll be past the proliferation stage and I'll be into the remodeling stage. So now the tendons basically will just adapt to the stress that's imposed on them. So I need to increase the range of motion. So that's the main focus. But it means upper body wise, I can actively start pushing stuff now. One of my friends suggested like a hospital to Hercules type thing. I've got loads of weight to, well, I was going to say weight to lose. I don't actually need to lose weight as such. I've got loads of body fat to lose and lots of muscle to regain. So I guess like there is weight loss potentially part of that. I'm probably not going to build muscle as fast as I lose fat, but the two will probably happen together to a smaller extent, and then obviously things will slow down, so we're picking one or the other. I am past the part of recovery where the calorie surplus is actually going to be helpful now, because now it's not like I'm trying to like stitch things back together. Anyway, so a few things I'm going to use as baseline metrics. One is pull-ups, so that's like a nice easy starting point. I don't actually know how many pull-ups I can do right now, so we'll find out. Right. So 2 was fine. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a couple of sets until I actually start to feel like ready to go. And I'll do 1 set of as many as I can. And I'm going to guess I can probably do about 6. So pull-ups times 2. Yeah, I reckon about 6 reps will be it. And I'm going to do the same as I did the other day. I'll do my upper body stuff first before I then go on to my lower body stuff. Just because once I start doing my lower body stuff, my energy's just rolling tanks, and with my body stuff at the minute, it's not too bad. What I might do tomorrow is I will put you maybe on the whiteboard and like show you the whiteboard as I plan out what I'm intending to do, so you'll see the rationale behind things. I think not next week, the week after, I'm back in physio, so my range of motion was 55 and 60 degrees. So if we go with the west and say my range of motion was 55 degrees, then I'll look to try and improve that as much as possible. And is literally stretching, loaded stretching. And that's the thing. People think stretching is just sat in a position, but your body adapts to the stimulus. So like, it's no different to any other training. Just do the reps, you go there, time. That's it. Anyway, see how this goes. The good thing about this height is I'm stood like flat on my feet, can touch this. Bad thing is, I guess, that I don't have full extension if I do that. I'm just gonna move that forwards a little bit so that I can have my feet in front of me in a bit of a hollow position and see how that is instead. And bear in mind, I'm doing pull-ups, so I'm going to chin, beard to chin, height rather than chest to bar at the minute. So, let's see how this is. You know what, 6 might even be too much of an act. My lats definitely feel warm. It's like, I don't know if disappointing is the right word, because it's not like anything different could have happened. That's what I was going to say. Disappointing how weak I am. But it's to be expected, you know? It's not like it's a surprise, is it? It's just the way it is. And I think it will come back fairly quickly. So some metrics I'll use: pull-ups. I consider press-ups, but my limiting factor on press-ups is not my upper body strength at all. It's my quads, and they're improving rapidly. So I don't know how useful that will be as a metric. I'll just go back to using bench, because I like benching. I'll bench. When I try doing like a proper Larsen press with my legs out in front, it actually feels worse than just having my feet on the floor really far out in front. So I'll probably just stick with that. A side goal I want to do is 100 kilos standing strict press, but at the minute, because of the biggest pain issue I have with going through my legs, I don't want to then add more loads to do that. So yeah, I won't do the standing strict press yet, but next week I'm going to go back to the bodybuilding gym. The only thing with that is Rachel, so what we're going to do is Rachel's going to drive me. I still can't drive. She goes and she trains for like an hour, and then she does a class at the gym for an hour. I'm looking for my chalk box. That's why I'm here with you here. I don't know if it's in here. I know that as I go through this, I'll start using chalk when I'm doing the higher rep sets. So I just want to make a note of it. I want to actually start with that, so it makes it a fair test. My grip is so bad that I might actually be in fracture hooks. Maybe I shouldn't use chalk. Maybe I should just stick with it as it is. Yeah. Let's do that. I'll stick with no chalk. So, Rachel, gym. What that means is, because it's only a quarter of an hour drive, but it's 15 minutes there, 15 minutes back. And the only sensible way to do it is for me to train whilst Rachel trains, rather than her have to drive me back there to train. So, what I'll do is have to go when she trains. She normally does Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, I think. Sometimes she does different days, but if I choose the Tuesday and the Thursday, I suppose I could do all three. If I choose them, excuse me, as my sessions, I'll have about 2 hours to kill to train. 100 bang on. Just as a side note, I'm weighing myself right now. These scales aren't necessarily accurate, but I'm weighing myself whilst I'm doing the pull-ups so that I can log the load for when I do them, because if I weigh 100 kilos now, as I am, and I can do 6 pull-ups or whatever, and I lose 10 kilos, 100 kilograms plus 0, and I lose 10 kilos, and then I can do 8, have I actually got stronger, or is it just because I lost it? So, that's the core thing. The gym thing. What it means is I'll have a couple of hours, and I don't have a couple of hours worth of training to do at the minute, but I do have lots of stretching stuff that I can be doing. So what I'll probably end up doing in those sessions is, I'll obviously use the machines at the gym. The big one that I want is the ski erg, so I can start doing some cardio. But I am doing 2 hours on that, it's just silly. I'll build it up gradually. They've got a hamstring curl which I'll be able to use, which will be helpful, because then I can actively pull this in against some resistance and start to train my hamstrings. I'll probably do stiff leg deadlifts on the Smith machine, because at the minute, I probably could do stiff leg deadlifts normally, but I don't want to have to rearrange everything here to get the bar out and stuff. I was saying that, you know what I might do in here, not sure. All the mats there are what I would need to get out to deadlift on this. I don't know, I'm gonna think about that one. But Smith machine anyway, I thought would be useful because it's fixed, so my balance isn't gonna be a problem. So when I'm training, I like delineate training into rehab and training. So doing stiff leg deadlifts from a rehab perspective with balance and proprioception, that's one thing, but that's not going to be taxing my hamstring and glutes and back as much as I would want. So they're 2 different things. One is for strength hypertrophy, one is for rehab. Rehab and normal training is just degrees of skill. So like rehab of my doing squats is the exact same as squats for strength. It's just a different range of motion, different load. With that said, it's just looking at what's safer. So I do the stiff leg deadlift on the Smith machine, it's safer, I don't run the risk of falling over with the load and re-rupturing something. Long term, that'll be a silly thing to be like scared of, but short term, that just seems sensible. Just how like short term, I would only use the lat pull down, whereas now I'm happy doing the pull-ups because I'm stable on my feet. Like I've got the crutches there, I don't need them for balance, touch wood. What I need them for is taking the load off my feet. As it gets through the day, my feet and ankles gets more and more sore. So, with all that said, let's see just how bad I've gotten at pull-ups. Oh, I had a cramp in my glute doing that, and my grip felt like it was going to. How poor is that? 5 pull-ups. But there's my baseline number. I'd say that's like at 9ish, because I think I probably could have done another one, but I didn't want to risk slipping and falling, obviously. So that's like a baseline number for that. That's sorted. So 5 at 0 kilos, and then I kind of do want to do it weighted as well. Yeah, let's do it. Worst case scenario, I only get 1 rep and then stop that. I only get 1 extra lift and then I stop that. I need to add in some grip training. I say add in, actually, I don't need to keep adding in more and more stuff, because then I'll just end up training for 47 hours and it become junk, and your body can only heal from so much. And whilst I'm already recovering from this, it's not like I've unlocked some magical secret to be able to recover more. I'm using a magical secret that will help me be able to do more, so you will actually recover more. But it's not going to be the difference between like being able to handle 10,000 kilos a week of volume and 20,000. It's more like you go from 10,000 to 12,000. So this is where it's going to have to be more a case of smart programming rather than just more programming. So like the extremist in me and they just work harder in me is like just train 2-3 times a day every day, but logically it doesn't make sense because you won't be able to recover from it and it'll end up being crap. So like with the rehab and the stretching stuff, if you train it at the appropriate intensity, it's just going to be like any other training session. But if you do it like easy, then it's not going to cause the same adaptation, likewise not going to cause the same stress. So then it will be just like doing cardio or strength training. So if you're doing strength training, if you're doing resistance training and you've got the high intensity stuff, like squatting 90% of your max for doubles or whatever, there's an inherent level of stress that comes with that. It will cause an adaptation and you get stronger. If you're lifting 10% of your max, you would have to do so many reps for it to cause any kind of significant stress, cause an adaptation, but it will cause an adaptation. The adaptation from that won't be what you get from the 90%. So they're two different adaptations that you're going to get there. They also have two different kinds of stress. So it's picking which one you want. And if you're training just to get strong, lifting that 10% is so far removed from your end outcome that it's basically a waste of energy. However, if you're training for more general physical qualities, you might lift that and you might be doing it for loads more reps to get some adaptation. If you're not specific about the adaptation you want, fine. When you look at cardio, it's similar. So you've got your different zones that people talk about, which is essentially it's just a way people have categorized different intensities. And they're not like black and white. It's not like the second your heart rate is 1% higher, you magically have changed adaptations. It doesn't work like that. So you've got lower zone work, zone 1, zone 2. This is the kind of stuff that elicits some cardiac remodeling, so remodeling of your heart and the mitochondria in your cells and various other things. But basically, it makes you more efficient at using oxygen in your body. So it helps you fitter in the traditional sense. The higher intensity stuff will also do that, but it will make you better at dealing with things like lactic acid buildup. It will improve your threshold of working through what's called glycolysis. So using glucose as a fuel source. So I understand to a certain level cardio physiology, but I don't know it the same way I know the strength stuff. So I'm not going to try and explain it all. I mean, to be fair, I don't think anyone actually understands it all, but I'm not going to butcher it without spending some time refreshing myself on it. Anyway, with cardio stuff, depending on what outcome you're looking for, you can make use of the very low intensity sessions. So for me, for doing cardio, most of the outcome I want is fitness in a broad sense, so just basic aerobic fitness. So what I want is my resting heart rate to be lower, so that every time my heart pumps, it pumps more around and my body is more efficient at using oxygen, and to keep my blood pressure down, which is a byproduct of that. What I don't want is extra stress on my joints. I don't want the extra recovery demands. So it's going to take some recovery, but I don't want it to be significantly hampering the strength stuff. With all that said, what that means is I was and can do an hour of really low intensity cardio 5-6 days a week, get lots of gains from it, but without a significant amount of stress. This is not going to make you like the best at cardio, but that I've found is sufficient for what I want out of it. With all that said, I'll be doing some cardio like I would have been doing in the past, But my general training, I wonder if that was as loud for you as it was for me, but my general training can all be of a sufficient intensity to promote either hypertrophy or strength and just keep doing more of it. It just doesn't work like that. Eventually it just becomes junk volume, and that's pointless. So it's going to need to be sensible in terms of the amount of volume, intensity and frequency of stuff. So like the stretching, it's the same thing of if I do like an intense stretching session, I can't just do a super intense stretching session every day and super intense lifting session every day and still work and still, you see where I'm going, with everything. So it's all needs to be factored in to make it sensible, and I can either keep just adding a little bit over time, or I could have, as in like doing sessions randomly for lack of a better term, like just as a circumstance of life things, or actually lay out a plan and go from there. Now that I'm in a more stable position, I'm going to go with the plan option. I will build into the plan some options for those days when I can't do things properly for whatever reason, so that now I can actually work towards something. And so be setting out what the goals are, training towards them, and that's it. With that said, let's see if I can do a pull up. So this will be 105 kilos. That was actually quite easy, to be honest. So the next logical weight is 110 kilos. I mean, I know I was resting for ages, but I'll just rest for ages again. So 110, we'll go 100 plus 10 times 1, it's plus 5, wasn't it? And then we'll go plus 10 times 1. So for the goals, it's something I've been thinking about on and off, but I still don't have a definitive answer for what I actually want to do. So the first one that I want and said about is walking. Being able to walk, let's say an hour, without it being a thing, without it being a problem. So I used to go for a walk for 4, 5, 6 hours and it was fine. Limiting factor would be if I brought a drink with me or whatever, or I'm bored. I also need to be able to sit on an aeroplane for 5, 6 hours. So I know you can get up, but practically speaking, my legs just get so stiff and painful after I've been bending them for a while. Ideally, I want to do that before the end of the year, because when it's icy, I don't have any interest in being here. So that's like a first goal, but then more significant training goals. Like I say, I haven't got them concrete, but like, for example, I would like to be able to do a pull-up with 50% of my body weight. I think what I'll probably do is bring my body weight down now. So I'm hovering between 95 and 100 kilos, obviously depending on the day. So like I was 100 just now, but I've been eating and drinking and wearing clothes, granted it's not a lot. Maybe down to about 85-ish, because at that weight I'm still quite big, but also very lean. Upper body wise, my best bench is only actually 161, even though I think I could have done 170, I didn't get a chance to do it. So, if we say I could have done 170, it's not that far off 180. So 180 bench might be a goal to work towards, but it might be a case of like looking at that as a goal for like in 2-3 years time rather than in the short term. Deadlift, I still want to deadlift 300 kilos, conventional, but that'll take time because it's the same thing of like just a pure load going through my feet at the minute. Doesn't seem likely, but that could clear up. Like you could just wake up one day and it's fine. It seems to be gradually improving. So that's like a long term. I need a more medium term, short term for that sort of thing. I'm tempted to like try and do a bodybuilding show or something. I don't know. I like the idea of I like the idea of the challenge of the prep. I'm not sure I'd actually enjoy doing it, because I'd have to get to the leanest I've ever been, and then like another 50% leaner. I don't know how much I like the idea of actually stepping on stage. So potentially, what friend Phil said is about like just getting like big photo shoot shit. That could be a thing to do. Cardio goals. I don't really have a specific one. I like to get my heart rate back down into like the low 50s, high 40s. At the minute it's like around 67, 68. We're still like healthy, but I feel unfit. Like struggle to do things. Need to bruise my belly again. I'd like to be able to do some handstand stuff. So I think it's called press to handstand. Basically, you put your feet on the floor and then lift you put your hands on the floor and then lift your feet up into a handstand. I quite like to be able to do that, but until I'm confident in my feet, in my legs, I don't know how I would train that yet. Probably need to get a coach. So yeah, there's lots of things that are on my mind, goals-wise, but I just need to pick ones that are sensible for starting. With that said, let's see if I can do this one. So this will be 110 total load. Is it right actually? I think 115 is going to be right at the limit. So maybe I'll stop there. Yeah. So this is the thing that is definitely a consequence of the injury, is caution has probably been increased about 98% more. So like, I was thinking about this the other night, of like the actual injury and what happened and the feeling of it happening and everything. And I can remember, so even up until that squat, especially the last 3 weeks or so, of when things started to really ramp up, you know, like volume and all those good things, of where I was just so confident squatting. Like I was like with deadlifts just indifferent. It's like with deadlift you just pull it through it. With bench I was tentatively confident because I did keep getting like the odd little niggle. Warning signs. The odd little niggle, but ultimately it wasn't too bad. But with squat I just felt like when I went to squat, like the weeks leading up to it, I felt like I could have loaded anything on the bar, and there was no second guessing, no doubt, nothing. Like, probably to the point of, I think I said it in one of the last sessions, did I squat? Maybe it was 240 or 250 for 3, possibly, or 2. It was a lot anyway. Like, to me it was a lot of weight. And I think I said about like you need a certain level of arrogance when you're lifting those kinds of weights, and I definitely had that. And I mean, I wasn't on the day that I felt it's not. I still do it in hindsight. Think I made a bad decision based on the information I had. Obviously, if I knew then what I knew now, I wouldn't have done it. But based on the 260, based on the information I had, I don't think it was a wrong call. Anyway, it's the confidence of that I just can't see. Like even now, when I go to sit down on stuff, I have to convince myself to do it. I have to convince myself to bend my legs. I have to be like, it's fine, you can bend your legs. Like it's fine, your quad's not going to rupture when you try and squat down to this, or like if I bend my legs slightly, or like when I'm sat down and straighten my legs out again, I have to like, it's fine, it's not going to explode every time you do it. So like it's a constantly having to remind myself. that just because they went snack once doesn't mean they're always going to be weak. Anyway, with that said, last time I did 10 and an 8 with this. So that's like a small progression. This is the other thing as well. So from next week I will be actively seeking progress on stuff. I think I'll push it more hypertrophy based and strength based for the most part. So that was 11, 40, and I'll go again. So as a minimum I need to do 8 reps. And then do some cows, and then some legs, quads, legs. Rachel's going to be coming out to train. I guess she's changed her mind. So, nutrition wise, I settled into more of a routine now. Well, obviously I had a routine. That was primarily Rachel feeding me. And then I kind of fell out of a routine where sometimes I get food, sometimes she would. But now we've got like another routine set up, if you like. So first thing I'm having on a morning when I get up now, I'm having a couple of 40 sips, which are the things they give patients. I've got loads of them left. So a couple of them, they're basically like meal replacement shakes. Some fruit and some kefir. It's the first thing I'm having. 3-4 hours later, eggs, bacon, beef, chicken, whatever. It's like the other meals are basically the same things. So it's some kind of meat or fish or eggs with carbs and fruit and or veg. That's it. And then at the end of the day, if I've got calories left over, it'll be something like desserty. So like I've got biscuits, Skittles, brownie, stuff like that. Literally just trying to get my calories up to over 4,000. But as you can see, that's made me soft and squishy. So from tomorrow or Monday, I'll see what food we've got tomorrow first. I will probably drop my food down. So from my average has been about 4,400-ish, I think. Between 4.2 and 4.4, you're on my phone, so I can't check. Probably drop it down to maybe like 3,700, 3,800-ish. But keep a close eye on like recovery and stuff, how I'm doing. And then like with the training stuff, like I said, I might consider doing, I was thinking about doing double sessions on the days where I train at the other gym, but given that I'll be there for 2 hours, I can do 2 sessions there. And when I say double sessions, I don't mean 2 hard sessions, but like morning cardio, afternoon stretching and upper body or whatever. But now that I'm saying it out loud, I see that that's not necessary. And the stretching as well, I'm going to delineate from stretching sessions and just stretching like the nice kind of stretching. Because the nice kind of stretching, whilst I do think there's a value to it, it's relaxing, calming, all that sort of stuff, can help alleviate some aches and pains. It doesn't actively tend to increase your range of motion on much, whereas actual stretching training sessions will. I think I need to be doing both to get the most out of my body for what I want. Anyway, next set. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm getting more and more unstable on my feet. finding it harder and harder to stay stood still. Not like I've got ADHD and want to move, but as in like whilst I'm stood still, my balance is wavering. Since what I mean, you've got like letting progression happen versus forcing it. So I just did one more, nice and easy. I was forcing it, maybe do 2, 3, 4 more, and maybe that's not the best for an adaptation, but it is still progress. I'm all over the place with the thoughts and this stuff today. So, next up, I want to do Rupture curls. Question is, can I reach that stuff there without tripping over? I don't know if you can see it. So, you stick this on here, so I can do preacher curls over here. Okay. So go ahead and do 12. Go on over. Yeah, that will do. 10, 11. Is it 11? No, it's 13. And 13. So I've got a couple of dumbbells here. 4, 6, 8, 10. I start with a 4 and see how this is. It feels alright actually. I think this will just be a warm up set. It's going to be about right for this. So anyway, I will start taking progress pictures and stuff like that. I'll be using the Performance app to log everything. The metrics on it are ridiculously comprehensive, and I'll probably put a full training log on the members area as well, including all the foods, all the supplements, all the extra supplements, answer any questions and stuff on there, technique reviews and stuff for everyone else. Yeah, I think it'd be good. This like training at the minute is a weird balance between do enough to get something out of it and don't do too much, so I still don't feel like I'm actually training yet, but I know that I need to take my time with it. I think I'll So, as any male can attest to, I want bigger biceps. So, I'll have to make sure I'm training my biceps often enough, high enough, with a sufficient enough stimulus to get them to grow. So they don't really tend to respond very well. I know my arms are bigger than like an average person's who doesn't train, but they don't look, they're not particularly big considering the rest of me. So maybe I'll make them a priority for a while. There's something that the quad tear has changed in my mind as well. Anytime I'm doing any exercise in my head, I can see that going snap. When I go down at the bottom there, in my head I can see what would happen if that snapped. So there's like a low level of like any exercise I'm doing. So that's fun. Just like the idea that something can just grow 6 kilograms times 9. That's like in the back of my mind. So I don't know if that's going to impact my ability to actually train hard or not in the future. I mean, I'd imagine it'll fade with time, as lots of things do. I just, at the minute, I can't see myself, like I can't picture in my head going into a squat with anywhere near that same level of confidence. Of where, like, obviously I was aware of my technique. I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to be, there's no worry, there's no fear, it was just squat away. So I think that'll be something to like get over. One solution is probably to just do pause squats, so that like there's no rapid change. So it's just slow, paused, back up. Obviously that'll limit the total load, but what can you do? I mean, I don't think I'll ever squat PB 1 rep max again. Like I don't think I'll do more than 280 kilos, to be honest. I just don't know if I care enough to do it. But I do still think I could get to a 700 total. So a 220 squat, which is probably not unreasonable. A 180 bench, which again, I don't think is unreasonable, and a 300 deadlift, which I think is possible in a few years' time, would be a 700 total. So that's why this is still in the 700 playlist, because I don't think 700 is actually off the cards. But I do think a 300 kilo squat is. Apparently, in this country, well, I don't know, it's like a different countries. Anyway, apparently, they don't do repeat scans after the operation to see how well it's taken. It's based on what function you have. So I don't know if I said I've been discharged from the surgeons now, so I'm not due to see them anymore. It's just physio. So that's it from their perspective. I've been considering getting a private scan to have a look and basically see what it looks like. I don't think I've actually put the scans up on here, as in like the world of YouTube and whatnot. But I've got them, I've looked at them, and they're a mess. But anyway, I've been considering getting a scan to see that it's normal, see if that will give me more confidence. I don't know if it will, to be honest. stupid saying. So, you know what I just said about like my balance gets worse, my legs just get worse the longer I'm up. So now walking about is starting to get to become a bit more of a struggle, whereas before it was fine. Anyway, next up we have squats and knee raises. So I'll move that bench out of the way this time. I'm doing the hanging knee raises mainly because I want to. From a training perspective, it's not a bad idea for me because my grip is so bad to be doing effectively extra grip work, and I don't think it's ever been a problem for anyone to have strong abs, hip flexors. Imagine being too strong. I mean, to be fair, I have too strong for my quads. So that's what I'm doing. Now, last time I was on pin 22, which is what we're at there. I'm going to actually start on there today. So this is 22. I'm doing these in here instead of in the house because I can hang on to these things for support. So I'm trying to lower my knees instead of just hinge back. So they're actually taking stress. That feels much better than it did last time. It's like a mild ache doing the mic today. And then big drop off there. So the other day I was doing 5s, but to about hip height. So today I'll do 4s, and I'll try and do them high. So this is actually quite good. So 10 at 22, 4 at high. This is actually quite good for the raises because remember your quad comes up here, so straight leg raise is actually using muscles in the quad. So that's still a different way of making progress. So the muscles in the quad are not necessarily a problem. The strength there is not necessarily a problem. That's obviously a good thing. So I'm going to go one lower than this, see how this goes. I suspect, because it's only like, it's about an inch lower, but I bet it's going to be uncomfortable, that extra inch. And then, I will be at an awkward height, so I'll probably need to figure out a different way of doing it instead. Because then I'll get off with that, and taking that off and do the 20s, and just a big ball. Anyway, you probably can't even see my legs bending how long these shorts are. I'll pull them up there, give myself a wedgie, and see. So what I meant is rather than hip hinging like that, that's basically no knee movement. I'm pushing my knees forwards there. So actually I need to try and keep them more upright. think I could go lower. I'm not sure if I will. Might see how my knees feel in a couple of minutes time. What I might have to do to go lower is use a mat. You alright, chicken?
Yeah, have you got the keys for the back door?
The keys.
Like the garage?
Oh yeah, they're just on there.
I put the kettle on and went off and I didn't put the lid on, so the house is full of steam now.
Oh dear.
It's fine, it's fine.
You're alright, you're not burned or anything.
The wrong keys. No, it's fine. I just came in and was like, oh my god, what's on fire? And then realised it was steam.
Jessie having a house party. Do you want to see something that's not impressive for a normal person?
Okay. What? What do you mean that's not impressive to a normal person?
It says for a normal person.
For a normal
I
person.
can't do any more than that.
I don't think I could do that.
Oh really?
I don't know. Not with these hands.
Your grip's better than mine though.
Not at the minute though. Got a hole in my hand.
And it's weighted as well.
Yeah. That's really impressive.
Not bad, is it? Considering I couldn't lift my legs at all,
Yeah.
like even laid on the bed.
Yeah. Really good.
Thank you. Are you coming in to read this?
I'm going to warm up in the living room first. I just wanted to open the kitchen door because of the steam.
I like you know. It's cute.
Do you like the picture of me?
Ah, I wasn't really sure what that was.
The chicken!
Now it is.
Oh, I thought there was something missing, but I was like, chickens don't have ears, so it
It's
can't
that
be
little.
Yeah.
Rachel had drawn me a picture on the whiteboard. I don't know if you can see it. Probably can.
Don't tell the people that I'm cute.
Don't tell the people. All 7 of them.
Yeah.
I'm doing really deep squats today. Yeah, I think I can go lower. But how do I do it? So I do want to go lower, but I want to do it to something so that it's consistent and safe and measurable and repeatable. I don't know what the difference in height is with that and this actually. Ray, do you know where the tape measure is?
Shout me.
Yeah, can you bring me a tape measure please? In the cupboard, in the kitchen, in the box there. I think it's bright orange. So then I can measure the height of this and just find something else that's the same height instead. Thank you very much. I said thank you very much. Just so I can measure how high my squats are.
Okay.
Could get a little lost to track it and attach it to my body or something. So the top of this is 62 inches. Let's see what this is. 44. That's way too big of a drop. Here's an idea. If I raise the height of this. $56, getting there. $67. 56 seems like a big drop. Could try it, see. So I just will need to move it so that I've got support of the back whilst I'm doing it. So if I bring this back in here. Someone watching this is probably going to see what I'm doing, like, there's a much easier way to do it. And if that is you, then please tell me, because that will make it easier for me. And I know you can't tell me right now, but like for maybe that could be the target to work towards until it gets to where it's too painful. I feel like I'm just grazing it rather than actually getting onto it. Each rep feels a bit closer. I think holding in that bottom position is quite good, albeit painful. 9. This is like embracing the pain part of it. That feels like, so last time I did it, as I got to the last rep, that felt like I was reaching failure in my quads, but like just at one very specific point, that felt the same again, so that's quite a good setup actually. So I've got the bench on 2, so I'll use that as my like baseline. So the last one, it felt like to me, I was touching it. In reality, I might not be. So bench, add on, incline 2, and then, excuse me, one more lot of knee raises, and then quads. Into vacuum as well. I don't know why I didn't think to go off centre for this. So when I was doing them, I was concerned about kicking that, but I don't know why I didn't think of just going off to the side like I was with the looks. I think that's it. I think my quads are having enough. But I don't know. So this is what I mean about gradually gets worse and worse and worse. Next, leg extensions, hamstring curls. So we'll change this height back up to normal. My legs are quite sore doing leg extensions, so I don't think I need to use any load on them, but load would probably be good for stretching, but it's the thing again of stretching versus actually causing damage. So I'm actively trying to pull that in. You know what, this one's better without these on. These are good for like general stability and not bending too far, but I think these are slipping as I'm doing this, and so it's making it more awkward than rather than being helpful. So that looks like I'm basically doing nothing. That's actually quite hard. Like, it feels like the exercise hard because I'm pulling my hamstring hard against my knee. So my hamstring does actually feel like it's working. What I might do is get out my blood flow restriction bands to start doing some work with them. Well, saying that, I could probably do stiff leg deadlifts. Feel like my hip. I wonder if I can stretch my hip. Nope. I can, but I have to do it on the floor when I get in. And then next up, I'm going to do some hamstring curls. I'm not going to use any load on these. Look, it's literally just going to be trying to do the opposite movement. So I'll show you. I'll try and pull this up. That's literally it. Here will be too much resistance to do this with. That's why I just body it. And it does feel like I'm actually showing my hamstring, which seems not. That's the way it is. What I do as well is when I go in the house, I basically rely on my front to do this. But because it's a carpeted floor, it's a bit nicer than doing it in the front here. And the scars, it feels like I'm foam rolling them just by the way being laid on the front. And what I'll try and do is basically wrap the strap around my foot and pull it towards my head, like back here, to try and stretch it more. Just like stuck. Also here, also we've got to do single leg balance and calf raises. I'll do them as like a giant set. So I'll do my calves. I'm just going to do them standing for today. First one. Try and get onto my big toes. And then the last thing is going to be a single leg balance. When I can do 1 minute on each leg, then I'll go to doing it with eyes closed. But I need to start with the 1 minute first. with the ibuprofen first. This is to help my feet and also just to help regain my balance again. I'm just going to get rid of them so I can use the time on it. I'll do it inside the rig so I can grab things if I need to. And these I would have taken off the races anyway. Right. Stopwatch. Let's start with the right leg because that's worse. So with this, I'm trying not to just focus on one plane, but to make it easier. I should be able to balance through this without focusing on one plane. My foot and my leg should be able to keep it stable enough. And I'm trying to do it. My leg's not 100% locked out. It's not that much of a bending. So I can feel my quad starting to do stuff. And my calf. And my foot. My foot will like go like this. Trying to keep it stable. I think it's been months until since I've been walking. That's going to make a difference. Now, my calf and my foot feel like I've been doing loads of reps. And let's stop there. That's 49 seconds. So not far off doing the 4 minute, which was like my rules, what I'm allowed to do. So 49 seconds right, and then give the left a go and see what that is. I suspect this one will be better, but could be wrong. I nearly lost it already. And it's not like a balance thing. So the right hand side, it wasn't a balance, that was the problem. It was the foot. It sounds silly, but the muscles of my feet, it's like I could feel the lactic acid build and build and build until it was that like, you know, like jelly feeling you get, the way you like get failure, and felt like my foot was just going to collapse. Yeah. Anyway, like 30 seconds on this side so far. This side feels much better than the other side did. That's not to say I'll beat it, but I'll work on it both sides until I can do both sides for a minute before I then go to doing it with my eyes closed. And when you can do it for a minute with your eyes closed, then the utility of it I think goes down, stops being as useful. 57, 58, 59, 60. Now we're just starting to get that feeling. So, left side, much better. I think I nearly could have done another 3 or 4 seconds, but a minute done, it's not too bad at all. I'll take that. So, 60 seconds left. Now I've completely lost my train of thought of what I was going to do next. I remember. So this wasn't actually something I'd pre-written down, but given I haven't made the program yet, it's irrelevant. I was basically going to do leg step overs, which doesn't sound like much of an exercise, but it is. But it just needs something to step over. That's at a fixed height. I think I'm going to use that thing that I used to do the preacher curls. So for this, I'm going to just basically try and bend my legs to get over it, instead of getting over it with my legs straight. So I'll show you what I mean. So from there, I'm going to use this to help, but I have to lift my leg up and over it, just there. And then same the other way, lift up and over it, just there. I'm going to reverse to the back. Try to do it without touching it. And then the same on this side, back up and over. That's one. And do the same on the other side. So this time, step forward with this. Sounds like something's been cut. That's actually easier to get that one over. That's not surprising. Somehow, even though the left leg is more injured, it's recovered better. I wonder if it's because I could start using my right leg sooner, so my right leg is maybe just more inflamed, or if because during the repair they did an extra suture, extra stitch in the muscle on my left leg, that maybe that extra repair has made it more stable. Okay, so that's that very exciting exercise. This time I'm going to try and do it without hanging on. I'm just going to put my fingers there for balance. No, I'm not. I don't think you can even see this either, to be honest. But I'm going to do it anyway. The over with the front leg is fine. It's the back leg I'm not sure about. There we go. It's like an involuntary grunt. So what I'm having to do is pull my toes up as high as I can and bend my knees as much as I can to get over and balance there. Ta-da! Crazy, isn't it? Like how hard that is. It's all because my knee doesn't bend. Obviously my feet are weakened, but like primary reason is terrible is my leg doesn't bend. But this is a starting point. I can gradually increase the height of this over time. It's just a case of like literally just getting that range of motion at the knee. Like if I just let my leg hang there, that's it. That's the range that it's at. Just need to get it to bend more. And the same on that side too. But with all that said, this is going to be it for today. I'm going to go in and stretch, but I'm not going to take you with me because then it means I have to edit it and it's the whole thing. It's just seems like too much work to me. So I'm not going to do that. But what I will do is I will see you the next session I do, which will be on the something at something o'clock. Take care.